the latest movies, or when something big happens in the news. See, that's us, what are we talking about? So what are we talking about today? Yeah.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the What Are We Talking About podcast. I'm your host Cody McLean and I'm joined by another full panel of people. On my left here we got Bradley. On my right we got Parker.
How's it going, guys?
Carly. Devin. Alexis.
Hello.
Hunter.
Hello.
And Jesse. So the topic today is going to be guilty pleasure movies, basically because The Disaster Artist is coming out. It's based off The Room, which is widely renowned as the worst movie ever made, but it's made money because so many people watch it because it's so bad. So we're going to be doing guilty pleasures, but before we get into that, I just want to quickly talk about something that dropped kind of right after we did the podcast last week, which is the Infinity War trailer. So it's amazing, I think, at least.
Fantastic, yeah.
Does anyone have any specifics they want to talk about?
I just wanted to add that I'm not I've watched a number of superhero movies, but I've never actually been this excited for a superhero movie with more than just the one or two main heroes. So I'm actually excited for this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Parker?
It's kind of funny because I actually got a text from one of my friends, and he said, well, the trailer's totally spoiled the movie. Someone dies. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? No, I didn't see any of that. And he says, yeah, the DCEU is dying right now because Avengers, Infinity War, and Marvel is just kicking their ass right now. And I just thought the trailer was fantastic. It didn't show a lot of action, which I appreciate. And it mostly just told us which characters were going to be in the film, which is a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
For them.
But one thing, it showed us characters that are going to be in the film. One person that I noticed that was missing is Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder, is he going to bite it?
The first
They kind of,
he dies.
they kind of faked us out with that in Avengers Age of Ultron. The whole movie, they kind of set it up get attached to Hawkeye because he's going to die.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't die.
Yeah.
So do you think they're going to do it in this one?
I don't think he will, because I just have this one weird theory is that obviously they're going to continue making movies after Avengers 3 and 4. So obviously a few of the Avengers are going to die with these upcoming films. If one person were to live, I would say it would be Hawkeye, so that he can be the leader of the new Avengers team.
Yeah, it's possible.
That's just a theory of mine. I'm probably wrong.
I just had a thought from the trailer thinking, how are they going to fit all of these characters? I didn't know some of them already, so thinking there's a good 12 at least
plus
characters that everyone's either familiar with or has their own standalone films. I'm thinking, how are you going to fit all of them in?
Yeah, because the first Avengers, they were able to kind of balance it and make it feel like it was everybody's movie. But then in the second Avengers, it was a little bit less equal. The stuff with Thor felt kind of just thrown in at the last minute. It didn't feel natural.
Yeah.
So I wonder in this movie if they're going to be able to balance, like you said, all of these actors and characters.
Everyone has their own knowledge.
You can even say the same about Civil War, how the Russo brothers had all those characters.
But the benefit of that is it was a Captain America movie, so he's
I
the only
understand
one that they needed to get right.
I understand that, but they had enough screen time for each character, where it wasn't a cameo.
But that's the thing. If that was an Avengers movie, I don't think it would have been enough.
No, not
for
at all.
Those characters,
Not at all.
because it's a Captain America movie, and they managed to pull that off. Yeah. But do you guys even care about the Avengers?
I have no idea what we're talking about.
It honestly looks like a shitposter's dream. When they talk about crossovers with all these characters, they finally have a platform where all of it's possible.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's checking off so many boxes, I don't think it necessarily can fail in an epic enough way for it to matter.
Yeah. It's probably it could take over as the highest domestic grossing movie. It could overtake The Force Awakens. It's possible. If any movie is gonna.
Yeah, I was even looking at Collider videos, and they said there's a huge chance Infinity War could even surpass Force Awakens at the box office.
Yeah.
So I feel like all the shots of everyone just running out, I feel like that most of them coming together is going to be closer to the third.
I would guess so.
Yeah, it's
because
definitely
you can't have the entire film be 30 different fucking superheroes.
Well, plus at the end of Civil War, they're all split up.
They need to come back together at the end of the
film.
film.
Yeah, so I feel like they're calling people about halfway through and realizing we need more people. They're going to bring in.
Because, yeah, there's even a moment in the trailer where you see Tony Stark with the burner phone that Captain America gave him at the end of the last movie, so he's obviously going to be trying to get a hold of Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, obviously not for you guys. So let's get into the main topic.
Yep.
Guilty pleasure movies.
I'm thinking.
Oh, God.
So does anyone want to volunteer to start by picking their
I
first
honestly
movie?
don't know which movies are
I can start off
I
if you
like.
Yeah.
I
I'm
like
just
them 'cause I
assuming my
like
taste
them.
is terrible.
I can
Hey,
start
I
off if
know-
you want. Like,
I
Yeah,
found
sure.
a list
What's a
of
what's
guilty
a
pleasure
what's a couple
movies.
of popular movies? Maybe we can all
Hey,
kind of.
okay, I got you, man.
Okay, Carly's gonna say the list of whatever this website is thinks is
It's
the.
called the top
No
10.
way.
What?
I'm
That
disagreeing with
sounds
this list
legit.
already.
Let's hear one.
Number 10 is Grease.
No.
How is that a guilty
That's
pleasure?
not a
I
guilty
don't
pleasure.
know.
Take this list
That
off.
could be.
Take this
That
list off.
could
It's not
be
a
a
guilty.
guilty
Yeah.
pleasure
For
for
people who
that
don't like musicals,
Yeah.
like who like dudes are like, oh,
No.
It's like
See, I just
Hey,
didn't
no,
like
guys
Grease.
just
Because
like
it's actually
Sorry.
considered
It's
a
like-
good movie.
It's
I don't
like
know.
people saying they don't like musicals, but they like Rent, because that's like a gateway musical into.
Yeah, but even so, just
The newer.
I know
one,
it's
right?
so
like
freaky.
just I
That's
don't
what I
like
feel like
horror
people
movies,
say.
but I'm not gonna say
Hairspray.
The Conjuring is a guilty pleasure. It's just
well,
a
it could be
well-made
a
movie
guilty
that happens
pleasure
to
for
be.
dudes because dudes don't normally like musicals.
I don't think
So
I
then they
disagree.
secret-
Here's the other
I
thing.
don't know.
I
don't know
disagree
shit.
with
Yeah, here's the other thing.
It's
Grease
fine.
is
It's not
classic.
your opinion. It's the website's opinion.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
Grease
trying
is
to
a
defend
classic
this.
film. Like it's considered one of the best films.
What's the next one on this list?
I haven't seen Grease.
RoboCop 3.
Oh god.
I don't know what that
I didn't
is.
see it. Don't care.
I'm pretty sure that's the one where he just flies away at the end.
I don't even know. I don't know what it is. Moving on. Number 8 is Batman Forever.
That is
I
a
would-
guilty
I would-
pleasure.
That is
That's
horrible.
definitely a guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
What's some of the Mario movies on this list?
that's one of mine. Go, number 7.
Rocky Horror Picture Show is number 7.
That could be.
People like that
Some
movie, but
people-
I don't know
it
why.
received a cult
Again,
following.
again,
I've
it's
never
the-
really.
it's the musical
I've only
thing.
seen parts, and I didn't
People
love
that
it.
don't
It received a
like
cult
No,
following.
I've seen the whole
so-
thing. I don't get it.
It's more
I
so
don't-
of a cult movie than a guilty pleasure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6
There's
is Scooby
where's
Doo.
that line?
That's definitely a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, isn't that one of yours?
Yeah.
What
That was
was it?
one of the films.
I mean, I love that movie too.
What was that
Do you
one?
want to talk about it right now? Like, what do you love about the movie?
No.
No, you don't?
No.
Scooby Doo with
That was
I
when
have
they
a
went to
story
Spooky
about this
Island.
movie.
Oh no, that
I don't
Rowan
remember which
Atkinson.
one.
I love-
that's fair.
good.
That's fair.
I like that movie. It's not great,
It's
but
enjoyable.
it's got some really good jokes where basically Shaggy is the biggest stoner ever, which is
I have a
hilarious.
slightly embarrassing childhood story about this movie.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so
Oh,
when I first saw, can you see like the opening scene where they're like trying to catch this one ghost
Mhm.
and it's like flying in the air? Well, it reminded me like when I saw it, you know like the black diamond chain string guy. It reminded me of him, and I saw this movie in 2002, so I was like 3 when this movie came out,
oh my god.
and. Like, if like, when I wake up in the morning, I want to go across the hall with my parents stuff, I'd be too scared to get out of my room, so I thought the cheese string ghost was going to be at the end of my hallway.
Wow,
It
that's-
scared the living heck out of me.
Okay, that's
Okay,
number 5.
moving on. Number 5 is Airheads.
I haven't seen it.
I've never
What?
heard of
No,
Airheads.
that's
That's a
not
great
a guilty
movie.
pleasure movie. I don't
I've
think-
never heard of it.
It's
It's
an
just a-
Adam Sandler, Steve Buscemi,
Oh.
and Brendan Fraser.
Oh,
And they
just
are in a
stoner
band.
movie, basically.
Yeah, they're in a band called, I don't remember what the band's called. The Lone Rangers. It's the Lone Rangers, which is hilarious because how can there be more than one Lone Ranger? But they are trying to get their song played on the radio because Brendan Fraser like goes to the studio the record studio like every day and tries to get somebody to listen to his song, but nobody will because it's unsolicited. And so they finally just break into a radio station with water pistols filled with hot sauce and take over the radio station until they basically play the song on the air. And the movie ends by them going to jail. But they become famous musicians, so it works out in the end.
And it's stoner.
Yeah, it's a hilarious movie.
It's a
Adam
stoner movie
Sandler-
from the 90s, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Number 4 is Mamma Mia.
That's not a good movie, actually.
No.
It's not good.
The
That's
plan is-
I never
enjoyed the
That's
plot.
good.
Never
I
seen it.
never enjoyed the plot.
Unfortunately, I've seen it multiple times, and it's not
I've
good.
I would say the musicals. The
musical's
pieces
more
are
enjoyable.
good, but the movie
Because isn't it just
itself,
ABBA songs?
Yeah, you can't just think of
Yeah.
the songs. You gotta
That's
think of
like-
like the plot, the
the
characters.
music's
Yeah.
pretty.
But
the
you're more
music's okay,
focused
but
on
the
all
plot
the
itself.
A-list actors in the
Yeah.
film, and you're like,
Not to
this
mention
is-
they're making a sequel coming out next year.
Oh no.
It's ridiculous.
Number 3, Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed. What's a Scooby-Doo on this
There are
list?
two
Who made
Scooby-Doo
this
movies.
list?
I don't,
There-
the
you know what, I-
top10s.com.
In some ways, Monsters
Calling
Unleashed.
y'all out.
In some ways, Monsters Unleashed is a guilty pleasure of mine because I honestly think it's better than the first film,
I've only
and
seen
it's
the
very.
first.
I think it's enjoyable.
There's no joke where it looks like there's hot box in the mystery machine, but then it turns out they're eating veggie burgers.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Or,
Also,
you
Mary
know,
Jane's
revealing
in
the
first
mask
movie.
like 3 times
I love
and it's a
fishing.
different person every single time.
Number
Next.
2. I actually watched it this weekend. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
It's not a good movie.
It's not a good
It's
movie.
not a
Starring
good
Donald
movie.
Trump.
That's the bad part of it. I saw that and my brother
Should we hear
screamed.
Donald
It
Trump
was
say
so
something?
No.
It's a fantastic movie. It's the best because I'm in it. It's great.
What
I-
happens?
He
That
makes the
scared
movie.
me.
That whole series, I have so many questions.
I'm honestly not
that
the
I
biggest
need
fan of the
answered.
first film either.
Yeah, well, it's
The
better than the
first
third
film is
one.
classic because of
I think it's overrated.
Yeah, but
I
it's
mean,
better
when
than the
you're
third
younger,
one. Have you
when
seen
you're
Well,
it?
yeah,
younger-
it's
Macaulay
the
Culkin.
best of the
Hey,
3 movies.
How
but
is
it's not a
he
great
not
movie.
taking away CPS? They
Has
left
it-
him 3
has
times.
everyone here
It's the
seen the
90s.
skit where Macaulay Culkin played an adult
Yeah.
version of that kid, and he's like an Uber driver
Yeah,
that is like
I've seen it.
strung out on
He
heroin.
goes crazy.
Yeah,
That's fair.
he like is sitting in the back seat. And he's telling this life story about how his mom left him home from a vacation twice. Like,
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone want to take any guesses for number 1? Okay, number 1.
Avatar.
I can see it right now.
Avatar, yeah, Parker can't say it.
I'm actually pissed off that it's number 1 because it's one of my favorite movies ever.
All Ninja Turtles.
No, okay, I'm just gonna say
that is overrated.
So
okay,
bad.
here we go.
Oh, the newer ones?
No,
Yeah,
the
those are
old
terrible.
ones.
The
Yeah,
Yeah, the
ones
old
are
ones are
good.
overrated. The new one's not bad.
Go with number
It's
1.
not too
Number
bad.
1, Dumb and Dumber.
It's my favorite comedy.
Ah.
Like, why is this on the list?
I wouldn't consider
Uh,
that a
Can I
guilty
I
search
pleasure.
a new list?
I
It's
think
my
it
favorite
could-
comedy.
I think it could be both because of how quotable it is. People could see it as a guilty pleasure, but at the same time, like at the time of when it was made, you're just like, this is still a hilarious movie.
I still think it's funny. Like,
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's my
I
favorite.
think
comedy.
those aren't. I think it's not guilty pleasure because most people consider it a good movie or at least a funny movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a new list. Can we briefly go through it and see if there's any better or no?
No.
No.
Why?
That first list failed us.
No.
so
No.
hard.
No.
I'm already looking at this list, and
There's too
all of
many
these are like
musicals and
considered good
Scooby-Doo.
movies.
Okay.
Like number 3, that's a great movie.
National Treasure.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That's a
Oh,
good
God.
movie, yeah.
No.
That's a good movie.
I mean, maybe that counts as a guilty pleasure if everyone thinks it's shit, but I like it.
Yeah, I like
I
it.
haven't
I
seen
don't know.
that.
it's
The
just
concept
Nick
was
Cage
so
is a big
good.
forehead.
He does.
And
Ben
Nicolas
Gates.
Cage.
Those are the Nick Cage.
Benjamin Franklin Gates,
Yeah.
What is he squinting at all the time?
I don't know.
the son.
His
In
ca-
every direction?
his career disappearing.
He doesn't squint as bad as George Bush.
Okay, well, that's my contribution.
Given the-
Okay, someone else take a turn.
Leonard got a big bang.
All right. So,
Guilty pleasure.
do you
TV
have a guilty
shows.
pleasure for yourself?
I don't know if this is
TV shows can count too.
Come back to me.
Parker.
Okay, I'll start off with like a movie that's considered one of the worst movies, period, and basically killed a franchise, and that's Batman and Robin. I mean,
Boom.
the casting of Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze and everything.
Is the best casting
Yeah.
ever. He's the only one who knows what movie he's in.
It's true. It's honestly true. Like you can watch this movie and
George
just-
Clooney is just like,
That's that.
I'm Batman. Like he just doesn't
Wait,
care.
He's reassuring himself.
I'm
Batman?
Batman.
I did not
On
know
paper,
this.
like,
I'm
here's the
thinking
thing. He
Batman.
also says
I
that
don't
he
even
played
watch
Batman
this.
as gay in that movie.
Okay, I've never really seen a Batman
Which-
movie, but
what?
George Clooney as
Wasn't
Batman
that-
sounds
Kevin
Wasn't that the one where they introduced the bat suit with the nipples?
Yeah, that was introduced in Batman Forever.
Well, yeah, but
What?
that was
But there was
literally
a George
one scene.
Clooney
though.
one, wasn't it?
No, he also had nipples, but the Val Kilmer one was the
Oh,
first one with
okay.
nippers.
But they
I
embraced
just-
the nipples.
I just remember the George Clooney saying like, "I can't believe they gave me a nipple."
The amount of
That's
people
it,
that
yeah.
would have passed by. and
Because Joel
accepted it,
Schumacher
and
was
they
just
were
like, it
"Yeah,
just
it's
makes
good."
sense to me. Like, why wouldn't the suit have nipples?
Yeah.
Because why would it?
Why would it need
Mhm.
nipples though?
How else would
It
you give a
doesn't
purple
give you.
nipple?
Does it make it more aerodynamic or anything?
It
No.
might.
Maybe.
But it would be terrifying.
Slightly quicker.
If you came across somebody with like 6-inch rubber nipples, I'd be like, "Ugh," and just go the other way.
I wouldn't be a bad guy either. I'd be like, cool, you could just put me in jail. I don't want a
I'm not
6-inch nipple
I'm
dude
not
fucking
doing
arresting me.
That is definitely a bad movie.
It's more,
But it is fun to watch at times.
It killed a franchise, so obviously it's not considered a good movie at all.
Favorite Batman
Favorite
in
Batman?
the franchise for you?
Oh my god. I mean, like, there's two that really stand
for me,
out.
it's Dark Knight.
There are two movies that stand out for me, like The Dark Knight
Yeah.
and the original Tim Burton Batman.
I like Batman.
I
Returns.
love the original Tim Burton.
Speaking of Batman, one guilty pleasure of mine is The Killing Joke, the straight-to-DVD animated movie. It got a lot of hate, but I think literally you just skip the Batgirl opening and then watch the actual killing joke. And that's the good part of the movie.
I saw that movie in theaters actually, and I never read The Killing Joke, and I really enjoyed like the last half of it, but it just seemed, the part with Batgirl just seemed weird to me. Like it didn't make any sense.
I mean, they had a character whose name was Paris, France.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not kidding. Like, that's an actual
Paris,
character.
France.
I mean, I own The Killing Joke, and I loved it for the fact that it was so seamless. It literally looked like they just animated the pages.
Yeah.
I don't know how it was so accurate when it came to that, because that was impressive. That got me.
Plus, Mark Hamill's the Joker is always great.
That's always a win.
Yes.
Yeah. Even Kevin Conroy as Batman.
I don't know this movie.
Do you have a guilty pleasure, Devin?
I guess I could say it's like a YouTube video,
Okay.
but it's like 40 minutes long. So
Okay.
might as well be
That's
on.
movie
40
life.
minutes long.
What is it?
It's like Kings of the Mud. It's a skateboarding video, but everybody hates it.
Why do people hate it?
I don't know.
What
What
goes
makes
on in
it
it?
shitty?
It's just
Like, is it just-
downhill.
Oh,
It's
For
people
40
don't
sounds
like it.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who
Moving
is it? Like
on.
a skate? Is it a team's video or anything like that?
Yeah.
Like, what's
It's,
what?
Valhalla.
Oh, okay.
All on board.
Cool.
Alexis?
Wow. I have 3. I just thought of them: Cat in the Hat, Scooby Doo, and White Chicks.
Cat in the Hat?
To me,
Yeah.
White
Oh,
Chicks kind of
God.
is stuck in that era that came out.
Yeah,
in.
it couldn't.
Yeah.
It probably would not be
It
made
can't
today.
be funny now.
It can't be
It's
made,
still
yeah.
funny, but it's like it was only funny
Back then.
during that time.
Cat in the Hat.
Yeah,
ruined
Cat in the
my
Hat. Are you
life.
kidding me?
I
right
watched
now?
it once and I don't
Okay.
think I could go through it again.
It's not a good movie
Okay,
at
hear
all.
me out though. It was a really funny cast. The costumes were scary, but it's funny.
The production design is great.
Oh, yeah.
Like the sets were funny. The sets were nice.
It felt Seussian until Mike Myers opened his mouth.
No,
Yeah.
that's what made it better.
Felt like this.
No,
God.
it didn't.
Not born to his voice.
I don't know what's worse, that or the Love Guru.
Oh, God.
Yikes.
Never.
I still find the Love Guru funny. I think I'm the only fan, but when people were trashing it, they're like, Mike Myers hasn't done movies in years since this movie. I'm like, why? This movie was hilarious. It's fucking weird.
There's funny parts on it, but I think the best part of that movie is Justin Timberlake.
But I'm reading reviews and they're like, oh, all these, he's making fun of Indians. I'm like, are you kidding me? Half the cast is Indian. How would
Yeah.
they
We're
wouldn't
not
do
talking
it
about
if it
Scooby
wasn't-
Doo anymore, are we?
No, this is the Love Guru.
I
This
don't
is
know what that.
basically the last movie that Mike Myers did. He
Oh.
plays a.
It killed his career, really.
Yeah. Well, he quit after all those reviews, basically.
Yeah.
George Lucas now.
He's on
Inglourious
a show now.
Basterds.
Yeah, he's in Inglourious Bastards.
No, he's in.
Didn't recognize
He's
him.
on a show. They
Yeah,
revived
the Gong Show.
The Gong Show.
Oh God, I forgot that was
And
bad.
he's under a different character. He's
Yeah.
got mask, the
Oh.
makeup, and everything. But yeah. I don't know.
Well, you already even said the Love Guru kind of is one.
Yeah, I guess Love Guru. Anything Mike Myers, really. Any of his movies.
But most of his movies aren't bad, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wayne's
remember
World was
watching
awesome.
one. What was it? I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
It's one of his early movies. It's pretty funny.
It's a great movie, yeah.
That is a good.
Yeah, I heard
movie.
good things about it. I've never seen it, but I've heard it's
I mean,
pretty
he
good.
also plays
So
the
good.
dad in that movie, and
Yeah.
I think he's hilarious when he's playing the dad.
And honestly, any bad Robin Williams movies that people
I
say are bad, like Flubber, still a good movie.
That's
Great
true.
movie, yeah.
His worst movies are better than most people's
Bad.
good movies.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No, true. Robin Williams is just so fantastic that you just put a camera on the guy and it's entertainment, pure entertainment. Like, have you seen his Inside the Actors Studio with Robin Williams?
Yeah.
It's so good. And he's the only person that could do that, too. Everyone else just sits so politely and answers the dude's questions, and then Robin Williams is like, oh my god, it's magnificent!
there was one guy that asked a question like, "What is your process for coming up with jokes when you do stand up?" Or how is your thought process when you're in front of a camera or something? And James Lipton is like, "Let's just hear what he has to say," and he goes on a tangent for 15 minutes, not even answering the question. he just goes on his own tangent that is Robin Williams, and you're like, that's how he that's how he does it. He doesn't answer it.
He
but
stumbles into it.
he shows you how he gets into it, and it's fucking hilarious.
I seen a thing once about that inside the actor's studio where it's like, why do you never see anybody on that's in the crowd later in movies or anything like that? And then beneath it there was a picture of the crowd, and it was Bradley Cooper sitting in the audience.
Yeah, he went to the new school.
Yeah.
And they only show him because he became famous.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have recognized him.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking up, like, who else has gone to that school that's become famous? And no one.
Yeah.
He's the only one that's become famous. And like, isn't this like, that's not a really good
Yeah.
commercial for
For the school.
for the school. It's like no one.
Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Jennifer's Body.
I've never seen that. That's the Megan Fox cheerleader
Yeah.
eating movie.
I mean, I'll concede
That's
it's
a great
pretty
way of
fucking
wording it.
shitty if it's supposed to be a horror, but I'm not fully convinced that that was even the intention.
No, it's supposed to be a horror comedy.
Because it was
Yeah.
so on the fence.
It's real weird, but
I
it's
thoroughly
got a-
enjoyed it, and I don't know why.
Does she play Jennifer?
She
Okay.
plays Jennifer.
So I mean,
So what's the premise? She's
So
like
the premise is there's
a demon?
there's a rock band who want to become famous,
Okay.
and they figure out that they can do so by sacrificing a virgin to Satan, curse.
As you do.
Yeah. So they take Megan Fox's character, who they think is a virgin. I'm not entirely sure why, and sacrifice her. And because she's not a virgin, she ends up inhabiting this demon and eats the guys who try and hit on her. And yeah.
they clearly didn't have a
So, okay.
internet connection to Google how to become famous.
It just yeah.
They just
well-
found like satanic
Well, it was
books.
also oh god.
That's the first thing they thought.
I get him confused with Adrian Brody. Who's the other one? Oh god.
Adrian Brody's in
Not
it?
Adrian Brody.
Oh.
No. I get him confused name wise.
Adam Brody?
Probably yes. OC guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam
Thank you.
Brody?
He's
I've
the
never
lead of
seen
the band,
Oh, I don't
and
know
it
who
just
is.
it that there's your
I haven't
explanation right
I
there.
haven't heard from him since that. I've never watched that show either.
Exactly.
But I just know who he is.
Yeah.
Adrian Brody's pretty good. Too.
Adrian Brody's pretty awesome.
He's a pretty good actor.
Him in Predators, which probably people don't like, but I do. He's fantastic. Just the one-liners that he has,
I
amazing.
haven't seen any of those now.
But here's a really good guilty pleasure that people hate: Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls.
I don't think it's that bad, actually. I think it's
I agree.
fine, yeah.
I enjoy watching that movie. Yes, there's bad parts when Shia LaBeouf and the Greaser Monkeys are swinging through the trees, but from vines, and also the part where he's like doing the splits over the two cars, and then keeps getting his nuts hit by trees. A little weird,
Yeah.
but it's like we get to see Harrison Ford reprise his role in the iconic Indiana Jones, and we also get Marion back.
Yep.
You know her name?
Yeah, Karen Allen.
Karen Allen back as Marion, and I like that was really cool to see. And I don't know, I think that it's the best Indiana Jones that doesn't have Nazis in it.
Got some.
I like Temple of Doom better. Like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is my least favorite of the four. But having said that, again, like I said, it's not that bad of a movie actually.
Yeah, it's fine. Temple of Doom, I think, has some okay parts, but for the most part, the woman that's in that movie, I don't know her name,
Kate
and I don't know
Capshaw.
the character's name.
Lily Scott.
Awful. Just the worst thing I've ever seen in movies ever. She's so
really hot, though.
hysterical and out of control the entire movie, and just the biggest bimbo. At least in the other Indiana Jones movies, the women are, strong, intelligent people, not just like a retard that flops around like a fish trying to get laid. It's the worst.
She's really hot though. Just
True, but
not to
that,
mention
if that's your
married Steven Spielberg too. So
Well, good for Steven Spielberg, but not good for that
lucky
movie.
bastard.
I have the potential. I don't know if it is or not. I mean, it might be.
Okay.
Like the Bring It On movies, like those stupid cheerleading
Bring It
ones.
That's a
On.
guilty
Is
Two
that
Years
a
Street.
guilty
Oh, no,
pleasure?
That would be a guilty pleasure. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Is that the one that made Channing Tatum famous? Or
That's
is that
Step Up.
That's-
That's Step Up.
Step up and
Yeah.
That was Bring It On as Kirsten Dunst.
What about the one about skipping?
Oh, yeah.
There's one
Oh,
about
on Disney
skipping.
Channel, jump
Sorry.
something,
Can I
jump,
just
jump,
read-
jump, jump.
Yeah, it was probably skipping.
Jump Rope for Heart?
Wait, no.
Shit, no, I know
On
this.
Disney Channel, like Family Channel.
Jump In.
It
Oh my
was
God.
Jump
Jump
In.
In. It was Jump
Yeah,
In.
Jump
Was
In.
it Jump In?
Corbin Blue, right?
Research time.
Yeah,
High School
Corbin
Musical
Blue.
guy? Yeah, Jump In.
Yeah.
Is that the
Really?
one?
That's such a fucking terrible
God,
title
those
now that I look back at that.
premises.
Like, why is that the title?
Disney movie, Family Channel Disney movies do not have good titles.
That was a Disney Channel.
Like-
Family Channel's different.
Family
yeah,
Channel
but
is
it
a
plays on Family
poor
Channel.
Canadian
I know, I
version.
know.
I know.
But-
Family is also
It
owned by
came out in
Disney.
2007, got 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. And
Wow.
according to Google
Better
users,
than most of the
90%
DC
rated.
movies.
Go jump.
Wow.
Golf.
I mean, the expectations were probably a lot lower for that movie.
Yeah.
How many reviews
Corbin-
does it say?
I don't know. Corbin Blue,
2007.
his character's name was Izzy.
Yep,
Yeah, I
Izzy
know
Daniels.
that. Yeah.
That's a
Isn't he also that one surfer in that one movie? You know,
No.
in that one
movie.
family movie, Family Channel, Disney Channel movie,
No,
where he's a surfer. Okay.
Are you
Oh.
trying to think of Johnny Tsunami?
that was
Dude,
not him.
That
Johnny
guy was
Tsunami's
Hawaiian.
amazing.
Not black.
Is Corbin Blue not Hawaiian?
He's black.
Oh. Maybe I don't know who Corbin Blue is.
Can't you tell
The
by
one black guy in High School Musical.
Can't you tell by the
That's
name?
Corbin
Oh,
Blue.
the dude with the afro.
There you go.
Oh.
Johnny Alcohol is much better than Johnny.
Hold on. Jump In has.
Oh, there's an ad. There's
we
an
gotta
ad.
pop up.
That was for the
Has
disaster movie.
6 reviews counted.
Johnny Karate
On
is
6 reviews.
Oh.
on Rotten Tomatoes, yeah.
So-
3 are fresh, 3 are rotten.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I did my part.
Any more
Good
guilty
one.
pleasures?
So,
Nice.
what's this movie? What's this jump-in movie that you're talking about?
Garbage.
Like, is it what's
Well,
the
I
premise?
just remember it was about skipping. I
Oh.
don't remember what
That's it. It was
was.
literally like a
Skipping
huge
what?
skipping
Like-
competition. That's
Jump
all it
rope.
was.
Scotch or
Jump-
Jump rope.
Jump rope.
It was like
They-
intense
double dutch.
jump
It
rope.
It was like
Double
intense
Dutch.
double
Who
dutch.
writes these films?
It's a Disney Channel movie.
And his dad was mad he wouldn't box instead of skip. And to be honest, I don't blame him because it's
Well, don't boxers also have to skip to get
They
the,
do.
the
they
quick
do,
beat?
but that's why he was so
Yeah.
good at it.
Float
and
like
let's
a
be real.
butterfly, sting like a
It was
bee.
all about a girl.
Yeah.
It was all
Now-
about a girl.
How
Yeah,
about
dude.
a guilty pleasure TV shows
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got?
that are
Oh, God.
even major like mainstream TV shows? I feel like it
Big
is
Bang
guilty-
Theory? Is that where
I
you're
don't
going
know
with this?
Well, no, not really. Well, I mean earlier on, the first half of the series
Mhm.
currently, but I know it's still popular, but it is so overrated that I still watch it in Friends. So, I mean, some people say that it's overrated and that they see it sometimes, but they don't really pay attention. And even currently, right now, for me, I don't watch it as much as I used to, but I still. like it.
I would wonder how like somebody like I grew up watching Friends, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you did too. Pretty
Same.
much everyone did here,
Yeah.
except for maybe Carly.
Hi.
How far are you on that? by the way? Update.
I am almost at season 4. I got like 2 episodes left.
There
It's
you go.
taken
So maybe you'll be
4
done.
months.
Taking so
eventually.
long.
I started at
4
Thanksgiving.
Never
months.
watched it.
You've never
4
seen
months to
Friends?
watch.
Never
There
seen
you
it.
go.
Okay,
It's
so
just
I-
I've never
I
seen
kind of
it.
wonder. I would kind of want you to watch some and let
I've
me know
seen
what
some
you
now
think.
because
Oh,
I
okay.
So
it's
people
now
have
on
like
rerun
kind
at
of
my
pressures
service
to
right
watch
now.
something like that.
No, it was
Or
just on
you
reruns and I just run it.
Because I wonder if that comedy in Friends would hold up today. I don't know.
Which is actually something I was
To
going to
some
comment on.
extent, some of it does.
You can see it wearing down. Does that make sense? Like it's still funny, but probably not as much as it
But
was.
it's in that.
Why? Sorry. Why was I being sassed when half the people in this room haven't seen Friends? Lex, have you seen Friends?
I've watched all of them.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a bad example. Devin?
Some of it.
Okay, I give up.
I declared this
I
as
just
day
gonna
one,
skip
but no
through
one cared as
episodes.
much.
I mean,
so-
we were just.
Hunter,
we were
have you
playing
seen
it.
Friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Friends.
It's not just
Okay.
because of Friends. It's because Friends is so iconic and you've never seen anything.
That's
You're not known
I
for
mean,
for
I
knowing
mean, you're
a
not
lot.
wrong, but you're not right.
But you're still okay for trying to watch it. But what I mean
No,
is,
that it's
you get
The
a
show
gold
is-
star.
the show ended right before the whole cell phone
Mhm.
surge, where everyone's got
Well,
a phone
yeah.
in front of their face. So that's why it's nostalgic for people that are older, and then for people that are younger watching it, it's a show where you don't have someone saying, "Hey, I'm gonna Google something."
Yeah,
no one
it's-
does that.
It's pretty
Yeah.
interesting also to see, because of how long Friends was on and when it was on, the evolution of technology. How like it's at the beginning of the show, it's like answering machines and that kind of thing, and then by the end of the show, they do have cell phones. They're flip phones, but
Yeah,
it's not. And like at one point, I'm pretty sure there's a whole episode where Ross has the beeper, right? Isn't that?
yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's only like halfway through the show, not even.
Yeah, exactly.
So
This also might be an unpopular opinion. but the few episodes I've seen reinforces this inner feeling I've always had of I just don't like Jennifer Aniston, and I don't know why. I just extremely dislike
Because
her.
you know her now rather than
Back then.
getting to
No,
know her
even like
back then.
the first time I saw Jennifer Aniston was through all my friends who watched Friends. Like I just was
Yeah.
never into it with them. Like I
Had seen it.
just
had
had never,
like,
never gotten to the hype. And then now, as I'm looking back, I'm like,
It's like the only thing.
It's
Jennifer
fine, I
Aniston
mean,
has ever been given.
I don't know about that. She
She's
almost,
funny,
she
like,
was
when-
almost like I'm pretty sure she was almost nominated for an Oscar like 2 years ago for a movie called
Cake.
Cake.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
I've never seen it.
I
If
haven't
I
seen
see
it
one
either,
more
but-
fucking Avino ad, I'm losing
I was
my
just
mind.
gonna say she's really good in skincare commercials. Come on.
Yeah,
She's
I
good at
mean,
being
it just
the
so
most
happens that
successful friend.
we live in the one of the 6 parallel universes, where in the only difference is which Friends cast member became famous after the show
She's good
ended.
at being the most successful.
We live in the
one.
Jennifer Aniston universe.
Yeah.
I really want to go visit the Matt LeBlanc one.
Sounds like
Yeah,
Rocky.
now
I
we're
think-
on.
Yeah.
Joey.
I think the one.
Community.
I think the one universe would just skip over where
Ross?
no
Phoebe?
Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow. I see. I would
She's
enjoy that one.
hilarious in who she is on Friends.
Kind of the best part of Lisa Kudrow on Friends is that she dated Paul Rudd and Michael Rappaport.
But after seeing Easy A, I would love to see more of her playing a bitch. 'Cause
Oh,
she's
yeah.
She
fucking
did
good
it
at
in another
And
movie.
Neighbors.
Neighbors.
Did she? Okay, so you haven't seen Neighbors now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the dean or
She's
something.
like the headmaster of the school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would Glee be considered a guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
To me,
okay.
yes.
Extra guilt.
Like
Oh,
feel
wow.
guilty.
Like, yeah, there's
Yeah, you better
There should
feel
not be
guilty.
any pleasure.
Next.
yikes.
Is Dance with the Stars a guilty pleasure?
That could be.
I
If it's a
Up there with
I
Idol.
Dancing,
love
any reality TV is a
Yeah.
guilty
Yeah.
pleasure because it's all
Dancing with
garbage.
the
Survivor.
Stars is my shit. I love that show so much. If I ever become famous and have the opportunity to be on that show, I'm going for it.
No, you have to become
Who's
famous
talking
and then
next?
Shut up,
peak
Bradley.
and
I already
then
have
become
a list.
unfamous enough. Like famous people
I
aren't
don't
on
care.
Dancing
I
with
don't
the
care what I
Stars.
have to do.
What
I'm
do
going
we
to be
have
on
more
As
Dancing
me
with the
are
Stars.
who are on Dancing with the Stars.
I don't
You need to
care.
go with so you think you can dance, because that's just a matter of popularity, not skill. So, you know. there you go.
Jabberwockies.
All competition, like
Yeah,
Dance with
it's
the Stars,
a
it's
good
depending on who's most famous.
No, but that adds other
Watch
criteria of either be a has-been
what they were doing,
or
like when
elite
they were actually
dancer.
on the show, not
Yeah,
like
Big Brother.
the
like
first.
the
Weren't
brother.
they the first group that won?
I think so.
in
Yeah.
The first season or something.
Yeah,
And then
the
that's
Jabberwockies. Yeah, for So You Think You Can Dance. It's like a Korean dance group.
Mm.
They're,
Called
they're all in
Jabberwockies.
red suits
Yeah.
with hats and
And the
stuff.
white
they've got
masks.
The white masks.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
No,
they're-
that's not so you think. Where were they? They just went on a
Oh
new
no,
one.
that's
The Jennifer
American
Lopez one.
Dance crew or something.
Oh, that's what it is. America's
World of
Next, Next Top Dance.
World
They did that, but then there's a newer one they just did
World of
again. It's
Dance.
like,
We'll dance.
is it World of Dance?
That's what it's
Okay.
Very
Oh,
tough.
Rad.
and-
TV.
They upped their game on that one. I enjoyed it.
Any guilty pleasure TV shows, Cody?
Guilty Pleasure TV show. Pokemon, does that count? I like it.
Yes.
No, that doesn't count.
No.
That's
Digimon?
actually popular.
Yes.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Um,
with you on it, but I
Digimon.
get why it's
I used to
guilty.
watch
Still a good
Pokemon
show.
growing up, but I didn't know they kept going.
Digimon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
like that's the
always
thing. I
goes.
don't.
My brother
I don't
watches
watch-
it, and the
excuse
theme
me.
song for this season of apparently like
The worst.
shit.
Yeah, I don't watch a
So
lot of
bad.
TV.
It's like friendship or something.
Is my thing. I have
It's
another
always a-
guilty pleasure movie though.
No, but it's like
I got a
really
show.
stupid thing about friendship.
You have a show, you said, Parker?
Unfortunately, I've seen all 8 episodes. Just finished airing, and honestly, I hope it gets canceled after 1 season. But Marvel's Inhumans.
Oh,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but is that guilty pleasure?
It is guilty pleasure because I
You
I
feel
kept
guilty
watching it.
after
I feel
Did you
guilty.
feel pleasure?
The first 2 or 3
Did
episodes,
you feel
yes.
awkward for watching?
I just
that?
kept watching it because it was set in the Marvel
You have one?
Cinematic Universe.
They don't give the good side.
Alexis, what's yours?
Okay. It's not a guilty pleasure, but it's a guilty pleasure for a group. I really liked Big Bang Theory. I really.
Like continually to this
It's-
day?
I probably
still
stopped
watch
liking
it.
it after 2 seasons ago. So when Bernadette got pregnant around, I stopped since.
I
like,
still
It has gone downhill.
Oh my god, no one watches it
They're
here.
in their 11th season
I watch it,
now,
but it's-
and I mean, I kind of keep up with it just because I wanted to fucking end.
They're now
And
entering
to
my
see the
realm of humor.
ending.
I'm actually laughing now. I wasn't before, but now
It-
now I'm there.
Just like with Friends and any other show, they've got that little dip where they're just like, okay, it's not as funny as it used to be, and then it kind of picks up again.
Mm. Well, if it's picking up again, maybe I'll watch.
It's almost like now they're making fun of themselves.
It's hit or miss with each episode, but there's still some funny jokes.
It's like you said, they're doing that part, but now they're like the folding in on itself, where it's making fun of itself to a degree.
Yeah.
Like that, when it starts entering that area, I'm good.
It's all about
Go for it.
relationships, basically, halfway through the series.
Like the first half was sci-fi, nerdy stuff that a lot of I imagine you could relate with, but then the second half it
Yeah,
started
and a
being
lot of nerdy
middle-aged
guys not getting laid.
middle-aged men complaining about not having a girlfriend. First, it's really cute. It's like, huh, little nerds. But then they're like 34 and they're still doing it.
And
It's like,
Raj still can't talk to women unless he's drunk.
yeah, it
No.
gets
No,
really
no,
tough.
that's done. That's long.
Yeah, no.
He put on his big boy pants.
It's just very cringy now because when you think of how old they are how old they were in the beginning of the seasons to about now, like one of them has
It's
a
been
kid
11 years.
and one of them is still really nerdy
I
and
think when the show even started, they were late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was
The show was
Right.
originally supposed to end after 7
I mean,
seasons.
Jim Parsons is in his mid-40s now.
But also in the
That's
show,
cool.
only because I just watched the last episode. Okay, it was a flashback episode. Was it almost to highlight the differences now in their canon? It's only been 7 years, and I'm like,
Yeah, because some shows...
That's like The Walking Dead. It's only been like a year and a half, and Carl has aged like 10 years.
some shows will go,
I would too.
each season will have a different year.
That
but
70s
then
show.
You have to really
Jim
pay
Parsons,
attention.
That's a-
44.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does not look 44.
Yeah.
because he's
I
got
would say he
Alba.
looks 44.
Yeah.
I mean,
Always have a-
like, that
well,
70s
is
show
it-
aired for 8
Is
seasons.
it the graphic
It's
tease?
been 4
Yeah.
years for
Yeah,
that.
it was only 4 years.
Yeah.
would Walking Dead be a
Guilty pleasure?
yeah not a
Not-
lot of
not
people
really,
like it
because
now.
I would say if you still are watching it,
I'm
I don't
still watching it.
like that's the thing. It's not
If
really
you're
a guilty
kind of
pleasure.
embarrassed to bring up, maybe when you
I'm
cringe in
embarrassed
before
to
Big
bring
Bang
it up
Theory.
with you guys because I know how intense you
We
guys
shame
are.
each other.
I used to
Getting-
love The Walking Dead. It used to be my favorite TV show until the season where so Negan gets introduced in the last episode of one season, and I
Yes.
was like, oh my god, I can't wait till next season. And then the first episode of the next season, they spend the whole episode just bullshitting, and they could have at the start of the episode shown you who gets killed, and that would have been cool. But no, I wasted another fucking hour of my life for them to just do it at the end, and it's like, well, you could have done that at the start and then had us got it in. I haven't watched an episode since that.
But have you? I don't want to be that person, but did you ever read the comic books?
No.
Then if you read the comic books, it gets better because I know things that probably my parents don't know because they don't read the
Yeah,
comics.
but I shouldn't have to read the comics to enjoy the TV show.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Welcome
not like
to
that.
Trans
It's kind of
media.
just more of a funny. I know what's going to happen, and I know they're not going to really stick to it. But as like the events now, it's getting pretty close to what's happening.
What are we talking about?
The Walking Dead.
Okay.
The Walking Dead. It's a
Jesse,
There's
Wait,
more a
there's
question
one.
that might lead to a topic, and I'm sorry for this.
no worries.
Does anybody have a show that ended so fucking terribly that you actually feel guilty, even for the part, like for watching it at all, and having people know that you watched it at
I'm
all?
going
I
first.
know what
Even the parts that were
answer is-
good.
No,
I know what the
I'm
answer
going
is for
first.
some people,
Heroes?
and I can fight it.
Just
but
curious. Mine's Once
let's
Upon a
see.
Time. I'm curious about anybody else.
That 70s show.
That,
Last
that was
season-
horrible.
Oh my god.
It ended okay when they bring Eric back and
He
everything,
should've
but
been
It was
it's
literally
too,
30
it was
seconds.
too weird though. You're just like you need to.
First of all, he leaves for Africa.
He leaves
His
to go
fr-
have a film career, but he doesn't really have one.
Well, listen,
now, so.
his
What are you talking about? He's the Venom in the Spider-Man, right?
God.
no, wait, hold on.
When
What-
David Tad Hamilton or whatever the fuck that movie's called.
What is so
That's all I know
stupid
from-
is that Eric left the show, so his character goes to Africa,
Yeah.
where his friends still go over to his house, hang out with his parents, and it's like,
Yeah, because they're so close. With
Well, isn't Hyde still there? Hyde lives
Hyde
there.
yeah, but
still lives
I,
there.
There was an
Update.
in-universe reason.
if I moved in with my friend's parents, I would have left
It was
once
the-
he left.
It was the 70s.
I would have.
Okay, maybe it's how I grew up. No, I see. I
It was
just
like
look forward to
that,
my friends.
I feel like that's not that weird.
No.
The
It was
weird
the
part is that they
70s.
tried to replace both Eric and Kelso with one
character.
weirdo.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
horrible. It wasn't even funny.
Funny enough, who was it? What's his name?
Fez?
No, the guy that comes in and replaces
Oh.
the two of them.
Josh Myers.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Seth Meyers' brother.
Oh, really?
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's
Seth Meyers'
amazing.
brother. At first I thought, because when I rewatched the show a while back, I was like, wait a second, is that Seth? And I look it up, I'm like, Josh Myers, he's got to be related to him because he looks just like him. and it isn't.
Well,
It's
that's
just like-
yeah. I was watching. That's
think
kind of like
it's
I was
like
watching an
really
episode of Rules of Engagement the other day, and Chris Farley's brother.
Oh, that's
Is
so.
in an
It's so
episode.
weird when you see him in something, even like in an interview or whatever.
Mhm.
You're like, you look way too much like your brother.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
It's incredible. Yes.
I don't want to change the subject, but can we talk about guilty pleasure bands or music? Because that could be.
Sure. Sure. Why
Oh
not?
no.
What do you got?
Oh no.
Any emo band from like
My
05
Chemical
to
Romance.
yeah, like Fall Out
I'm
Boy,
hoping someone else
Okay,
says what I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Fall Out Boy, Panic
Mariana-
at the Disco,
Mariana's Trench.
Mariana's Trench.
I
One
saw
Direction.
Ariana's
But
Trench.
but do you listen to
Don't
just
tell me.
that era, or do you listen to everything they still put out? For me,
Yeah,
it depends on who it is.
I listen to Fall Out Boy currently.
Yeah,
I listen
I
to.
kinda, there's one or two albums that I still haven't been.
I guess technically this would be a guilty pleasure band. Nickelback.
Yeah, that's one of mine.
That hurt.
I like
Yeah.
Nickelback, but like that's the thing. To me, the music that I like, I don't think is guilty pleasure. Because with a guilty pleasure movie, like whatever, the Super Mario Brothers movie, I can tell this is a bad movie when I'm watching it, but I still enjoy watching it. Whereas with those bands, it's like I don't get why everyone hates Nickelback. I like them.
I
They
will
were
s-
really good.
I will say,
But-
I will say they do have catchy songs. It's just I think it's the hate surrounding it, where you're just
Can I-
like, I'm gonna join in just because it's easy. And
It's just a
because
cool thing to do.
Their music is very, it's not generic, but it's like
It is.
formulaic. They
Yes,
have
that's true.
a sound that they stick to, and they kind of jump out of it a little bit. But
Every once in a while.
And
but
they're
for
one
the
of the
most part.
bands that have, I don't know, what, 3 to 4 songs that are interspersed throughout each album that is
Yeah.
overplayed, formulaic, complete bullshit, and doesn't sound anything like the rest of the
Mhm.
album, which is way better
Yeah,
than the
Absolutely.
stuff that's on the radio constantly.
Well, that's the thing. In order to get your songs on the radio, you basically have to write generic garbage.
Mhm.
do you think it's mostly because you're from out west?
It's possible. Like
I'm
I'm not.
I grew up
When
like
I lived out there,
I've seen them in
people
concert like
were
3 times.
Not heavily into Nickelback, but they were into music that was similar.
well,
And I
not only
thought-
that, but they're from Hannah.
Because they're from out west.
Yeah, like I grew up like an hour away from where they grew up.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe that makes sense.
hmm like whenever somebody gets out of Alberta and makes something of themselves, I'm like, he's cool.
I can't live by that because then I'm stuck with Avril Lavigne.
Hey, I like Avril Lavigne also. Is that a
First
guilty
album,
pleasure?
that's it. After that,
It's
Skater
like
Boy?
for my
I like the old school songs. Complicated, Skater
Yeah.
Boy.
yeah,
my mom
those are
works
good
at
times.
Costco and in Peterborough, and she always tells me, she always reminds me, oh, you know who's from the area? The guys from 3 Days Grace. And it's like, do you even listen to them?
Mhm.
I mean, they're on the radio.
I like
I'm
3
like,
Days
yeah,
Grace
they're
also.
from the area, so it's kind of funny.
Well,
when
yeah, there's
when
a
they see
lot.
them go through
Most of the time, if
forage.
there's a Canadian artist, they're from Ontario.
That's like
Yeah.
that's like when my high school found out they do a reunion
Or
every year.
Serena
You can
Ryder,
go
Serena
whenever. It's
Ryder's
not.
pretty big in Peterborough area because she's
Mhm.
from around there too.
The bassist from Headley showed up one year.
Oh,
And no one knew why, because they didn't even know that he had gone there. They didn't remember him. Nobody knew.
No, of course not.
And I'm like, well, that's awkward. Like, you made it and nobody even knew you were there.
I wouldn't even be able to pick out anyone in that band except for the singer because I don't listen to them that much.
I've heard the name Headley, and I'm sure I've
If-
heard some of their songs.
If I
but
could
couldn't
pick him
name
out,
them.
yeah, if I could pick him out at all.
Especially now that they're going more pop than radio constantly now.
Yeah.
I
What about
tried
you, Carly?
find-
Do you
I tried
have a
finding
guilty
the
pleasure
list.
band?
No. But I tried finding the
R5.
list of like, don't get me started.
No, that is a
Um,
guilty pleasure band.
is it?
Yes, it is.
Who's that?
I don't want to talk about it.
What?
Sounds pretty like
It's
it.
It's like a
No.
Disney Channel
Okay,
band.
no, they started out as
What?
like full on cheesy as fuck, part of my language.
Please don't say Cheetah Girls.
No, it wasn't
Okay.
like Cheetah
Okay.
Girls.
Fuck.
But it was like freakishly like Disney Channel, like Radio Disney. And it was
But who?
terrible, but I loved it
Is
when
it
I
like
was
that
younger.
Rush? What is it? That band? I don't know what it's
All
called.
Time Low?
No, it's another Disney band, but they have a weird name.
I know what you're talking
One
about.
Direction.
No,
No.
it's not that one.
But anyway,
Don't
their
get me
stuff,
started.
their stuff has gotten much
Trigger.
better. But
One
back
Direction,
then,
aka the
they were
Monkees of
like,
You don't know who this is or who's this? What's,
they're called R5.
oh, God.
Like I have
Pretty
all
sure
their
the
stuff
Monkees
on
were
my
the
Yeah, I
first
know who they are.
constructed
Okay, their
band.
stuff now is good, in my opinion. It's nothing like their old stuff.
So is he not acting anymore?
That's
It
what
wasn't
most
like
people
one of
say.
they're
Yeah.
brothers, right?
Yeah,
I remember
there's-
this. They're all like freakishly blonde or something.
Yeah, there's three. There's
Okay.
3 who are brothers. One's a sister and one's their
Who
friend.
the main
Ross Lynch.
Okay.
He's in My Friend Dahmer. That's why I'm obsessed with the movie. No
But what show is? Which one was that? I remember
It
it
was
was in
on
the show.
Austin and Ellen.
Thank you. Okay.
I know the facts, guys. I was like a super fan.
Who? I have no
If we're
idea what
going-
you're talking about.
If
I
we're
can
going to
play
old
some of the
Disney, we gotta move on
No.
to like
No.
Xenon. If we're gonna talk about
the
it,
one I was
Xenon
thinking
the
of
sequel
was
and
Big
shit. Like,
Time Rush. I kept
Oh, that was
hearing about it.
Nickelodeon.
Oh, okay. Same shit to
Big
me.
Time Rush was amazing. That is another guilty
Okay.
pleasure show.
I can't like Art 5. You
I-
like Big
No,
Time
I'm
Rush?
not. No, it's
What is
mostly
them?
because I'm
Two of
older
them
and I
were
don't
Dangerous
realize
Stars.
it.
can I claim
Nickelodeon
Raven
just
Simone's
exists,
life as a guilty pleasure? I can't-
That's so
Her
Raven.
life in general.
it's so it's.
That's so Raven.
Didn't they bring that show back or something?
Yeah, it's called Raven's Home. I saw the first episode.
Sounds
It's
so
my favorite.
bad.
You know what
It's
though?
like
It's
bringing-
exactly
I
the
used to
same
watch
as
the
the
shit
old
out of
show, but
Cory
it's
in
the
the
old
house.
humor that doesn't hold up.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
my
bringing
favorite
back,
anime.
oh, what's that one,
Fuller House.
yeah, that's it.
I
love
love
how
Full.
you know
That's
that.
a guilty pleasure. Fuller House. I like Fuller.
Well, if you're not gonna bring back the Ghost and Twins, what's the damn point?
The jokes were, I know the jokes were cheesy in the original,
They're
but
cheesy
they were like
Oh my
now.
god,
extra
the
cheesy.
Crystal.
In the
Yeah.
second, I
Oh.
couldn't get 10 minutes into the
But
show
here's
for
the
some
thing.
reason.
I think it's funny because of how dumb it is.
I didn't like consistently
cheesiness
watch the
of it?
original, so
What
that's
is
probably
Fuller
why.
House from?
Full
House.
House.
It's a spin-off.
It's the kids grow up and have the kids.
You know all those little gifs of like the Olsen twins and they're like really tiny.
Oh, I think I
That's
used
the
her. I
show.
think I used the GIF. a lot.
Exactly. Everybody uses it for that. They don't know what it's from.
Actually, that's basically group. But anyway.
No, I don't know.
They were like the
There's
Good
a-
Luck Charlie of our generation.
I
It's
love
like,
Good Luck Charlie. That was such a sorry.
Like you guys use a lot
How
of
did we
Fresh
shift to
Prince of
reboots?
Bel-Air gifs.
Dude, there was a
We can't do this without talking
spin-off
about the new
of Boy
Pokemon. We
Meets
can't do
World.
this.
It was Girl Meets World.
You wanna
I
talk
was
about the new
obsessed with that.
Pokemon?
That's
I haven't seen it yet, and I know you have.
Never did.
What am I in for? No, go.
Because I got into girls.
Oh yeah, that. No, I already. Yeah, no. I was
Oh,
praying
I
it was a
really-
fake. I was so praying it was
I'm like
fake.
dying
Boy
inside
Meets
with you
World and
quoting
Guilty
that.
Pleasure.
Oh my god.
Did that actually happen?
Boy Meets World.
Oh,
I
good
love
show.
that show. That's a great show.
I
And you know
want
what?
to binge watch it.
You know what? The
See,
new
I
one
grew
was
up on
not
that show.
terrible,
I
but it
loved
just
it so much.
it was too restricted by the network. They could not go as far
They
as Boy
went-
Meets World did.
They
Like,
went to some points.
They tried. They tried. I'll
Because
give
in
them
the
credit for
original, they
that.
touched on some pretty touchy subjects.
Yeah.
back then.
But
Exactly.
it wasn't on
Yeah.
Disney Channel.
And
back
now
then, was
because
it?
No, it
yeah,
wasn't.
no.
Yeah, like basically Corey's buddy there was like pretty much homeless.
Yep. They did like
But if
everything.
they took that
They
show
did, like,
and moved it to
domestic
like
abuse, they
ABC
did, like-
Spark
Is it
or
one of them
Freeform,
Suicide
whatever
at
it's
some
called,
point?
if they moved
Yeah,
it to
sure.
that,
I
they
think
could've
so,
done
yeah.
one year.
American
And I mean, they
Awesome.
tried bringing back old
Maybe.
characters to
Yeah.
get that vibe back, and they just couldn't because I mean, you can't cover the same content when you have a giant mouse telling it now.
Yeah, if they had it on like Freeform, like.
What about Stuart Little?
Oh,
Is that a guilty
That's
pleasure?
a guilty pleasure.
I
Yeah,
hated
I like
those.
that movie as well.
Yeah.
Did you know?
only I only watched
let me
Glory.
make sure I got this
Mm.
facts right. But
Fox is the
no,
fucking
the director.
mouse.
Oh God,
What?
Let me find.
He's
this.
so
This is-
excited.
Is he a
This is
shrimp?
pretty hilarious.
it's great watching an episode of House
Who's
and
the
then
kid
watching
in that
that
movie?
and comparing Glory.
I don't know.
He's a kid in some other movies. Like he was a
Maguire, maybe?
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
the
I've
kid
never
from
seen that,
Jerry
so-
Maguire.
Is it? I've
Is
never
that
seen
the
that.
same kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's in something else too, though. I can't remember.
I know it's spelled that great.
He's one of those ones too that was like
Jonathan
a cute kid and then
Bannon.
grew up and you're just like, oh, that's too bad.
I'm pretty sure he was something also as an adult that
The
I
director for Stuart Little was Rob Minkoff.
never
I
heard
know,
of.
yeah. M. Night Shyamalan wrote the script, though.
Wow.
That's what I was bringing up.
I saw it
Are you
right there.
serious?
Wi-Fi's not
That
fast enough over
explains
here.
so much.
Yeah, he wrote the script for Stuart Little.
I like
he-
to point
I was
out
like, it's right around the same time The Village
What's
came
the
out.
twist?
So it's like really stupid.
He turns out to be here. No, he's
Hello,
not.
friends. I was 3 months old when that movie came out.
Oh my God.
What
Wait,
year?
what year?
1999.
1999.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh man, I was like,
Wait, initial release
Grade
date.
seven.
Yeah.
I was 7. You were grade 7?
I was
I would
5.
have been a
I was
day-
seven.
I would have been a day old.
1999. Yeah,
I
I was in
would've
grade
been-
9 in 2001.
I would have been a
Hey,
day old
guys.
when that movie came out.
No,
You're
you
old.
were
No.
a year and a
I'm sorry,
day.
a year old. Sorry.
You're the only redeeming
I was
quality.
66 on Rotten Tomatoes.
What?
66 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, so that's fresh.
Okay.
The twist in Stuart Little is that some mice try to steal him.
And that
Halfway through the
snowball
movie.
ended
Yeah.
up being a complete asshole.
Yeah, and it was like
It was the gangster cats that were like, what's the matter you?
top 10.
Wait, wasn't the voice of Snowball the same guy that does Timon? I can't remember his name.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
Was it not? It was really.
I mean, the guy who plays Timon is, Timon. It's that,
The one who's on Modern Family.
No,
right
it's
now.
Nathan Lane.
It's Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane is Timon.
I'm
Nathan
looking
Lane.
up 2000s
Producers.
childhood shows.
What else?
I don't know why.
Okay, well, I have a movie we can talk
He plays
about.
Chuck
Yeah,
on
I
Modern
have
Family.
a question.
Yeah, what's your question?
It's a guilty pleasure movie,
Oh,
but I don't
it is, yeah, that's
remember
different.
what it's about. It's these two kids that go to their grandparents' house, and it's the one with the commercial with like,
Oh,
can
it's
you
the
get it?
room, or no, the visit.
The visit.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I think that's a guilty pleasure.
Oh,
I
that was a quick turn right
The
there.
visit was actually
I
good.
like that movie.
The visit's
Oh,
good.
it was
yeah.
it was so funny. I went with a friend and my mother, and I never laughed so hard at a fake attempt to a horror movie in my life.
Speaking of
65%
which,
on Rotten Tomatoes.
speaking of which, the three of us watched it a few days ago. You mentioned it. The Room is definitely up there as a.
That can never be a guilty pleasure because no one gets pleasure from that movie.
It's true. It's
Except
garbage.
for Tommy Wiseau.
I did not hit that. It's not true. It's bullshit.
Sure.
I did not
Because he's
hit
got
this.
money now.
This also might be before half the room's time. Sorry. Or you might have seen it because
No offense.
The Ring. Anybody?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I see.
Okay.
The original? Or
The voice
American
act, the
one?
voice, the character that played the girl in the
Is the one that does the voice of Lilo.
Yeah.
I know.
First of all.
I don't know why that was so
Okay.
satisfying to know
Ring
that.
view.
Ringu.
It's fine. Just use the
So,
Yeah.
But people
Just need
poke
to set
holes in
down.
it because the
Gotta get it
like
right.
whole rules of the tape make no sense. But
What?
I can't stop watching.
So, Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Oh, Bob Hoskins.
We need
I
to
feel like
watch
I have
this
some of those
movie
at home.
We got
to
some
collectively
okay Halloween
comment on
costumes.
this,
That
because
was
only
pretty
like
much
3
it.
of us have seen it.
I haven't. I've not seen
Who
it.
has seen the Super Mario Brothers movie?
I only made it halfway through.
I have not seen
Go into it
I
knowing
think-
it's real bad and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is Princess Peach in it?
it. No.
I think it's
Isn't
Daisy.
John
Daisy,
Leguizamo
yeah.
As Luigi.
Yeah.
Wait, there was like a legit movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought
It
it
looks
was
like
an
it's set in
animated one.
the
No.
Blade Runner future.
No, we need legit just
Dino
someone.
Why
Yeah.
is this?
Thought
Why
this was
have
a
I
good
not
idea.
seen this?
It's complete.
15%
Because you were-
Super Mario Bros. The
months
movie
old.
is so bad that Nintendo has never made another movie.
Nintendo made
They
it?
learn from their
Cool.
mistakes,
Nintendo
unlike others.
helped produce it.
Nintendo owns the Mario Brothers.
Sponsored the living hell out of
I mean,
it
the
and-
guy
and
with
the
the-
power, and then it came out and it was
This.
just
Yeah, Bob Hoskins.
a steaming pile of
You look like he could be a Mario.
shit.
It was bad.
Luigi looks
It
scary.
was in the same age that the first
He's-
Teenage Mutant Ninja
He plays
Turtles
Sid the Sloth.
came out, so it was a
Luigi.
very
That's
dark
Sid the
Saw
Sloth.
that.
sewer type movie, no pun intended.
Has anybody seen the Shaun the Sheep?
I heard that's
Yeah.
really
I
good.
watched
Did it
the
get
show.
nominated for an
I
Oscar?
watched the show.
Yeah, it
So
was
that's
nominated
not
for
a
Best
guilty
Animator.
pleasure.
Wait, Wallace and Gromit.
That is.
That's not a bad movie.
That is an amazing.
I hated
movie.
those
That's
movies.
amazing.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
walk
why.
out now. Bye guys.
But does anybody else have a problem watching claymation, like at all?
I do.
I like it.
No,
It
I like
freaks
it.
me out.
I don't
Like I
like
don't.
it.
I get
just
like the
it.
willies from it.
So did you ever watch like Coraline?
Nope.
No, but not again. Not so much content, but it's claymation. It freaks me out. Ever
I
since
don't like
Pangu.
claymation.
Have you
Pangu
ever
fucked me up
watched
as a
that
kid.
Czech
Hey,
film?
yes!
Oh my God.
Actually, I like
Alice in
That giant
Wonderland?
seal thing that would come out. No, I'm out.
1988's Alice.
Claymation.
Alice in Wonderland.
I
the
make it
Czech-
through the Night Before
Czech
Christmas, that's
version. That's amazing.
Chicken Run? Nope.
Claymation is like, I don't know. I find it's one of the best.
I think stop motion
mediums.
animation is
I
really
appreciate the effort. I can't.
It has like a certain aspect of creepiness to it. I know what you mean though. It just makes it seem more eerie and like the movements are
I mean,
more thought
Nightmare
out.
Before Christmas. Who
It's the only one I can
hate
make
that
it
movie?
through. Only one.
Well, we're getting pretty close to the end of the show now, running out of time. So let's go around, and does anyone have a reading, watching, or playing that they want to talk about? Oh, I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
So on this podcast at the end, I like to go around and have everyone recommend something that you've been reading, watching, or playing that, I don't know, maybe if people haven't watched it, or just whatever, something that you're into right now. Do you have anything? If you can just think about it while everyone says theirs if you want.
Okay.
You got one, Parker?
You want me to go first? Okay. I mean, this is pretty well known, but no one really watches it. But Joss Whedon's Firefly it's one of my favorite TV
I've
shows.
been meaning to watch that.
Yeah, and since the show got canceled, they ended up making a movie called Serenity, and the movie's also fantastic. So check out the movie and the show. Yeah.
Carly?
I don't watch
You don't got
anything.
anything? It's okay if you don't.
I've been watching Friends for the 3 of you out there who have not seen Friends.
Devin?
Shit, what's I gonna say?
Holy man.
Yeah, well, but I had a preface to it. I was gonna say, if you want to watch severed leopard heads squirt milk out onto a guy's face, watch the Holy
You
Mountain.
want some weird, surrealistic.
I was like
Earth
scarred for
School
life
Homes
after
in
I
a
saw it.
nutshell.
Yeah, the Holy Mountain.
It's good shit.
Well, I'm Mr. Alexis.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's such a beautiful day. I will never not stop talking about it. It is an amazing movie. I will say probably the best movie I've ever seen.
There you go.
Amen.
Hunter?
I would say The Empire of Corpses is a really good movie, pretty underrated. It had a pretty good first 2 acts. The 3rd act stretched on a little bit, but I would still say check it out. It's pretty good.
What was it called?
The Empire of Corpses.
You got any?
Yeah, but only because it's been fucking me up the last like 3 weeks. And I'm sorry in advance, but the YouTuber Poppy,
Yes,
that
she's
is
so
fucking
freaky.
with me so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's.
I like
She's
that's
like, oh my god.
I mean, it's kind of interesting, like that whole
Hunter will-
thing.
The
I'll
more
show you
background
after.
you get into it, the
You
more
need
it
to see
just.
it.
Can you do like a
Messes
quick
me
little
up.
explanation?
You can't explain it.
I'm
I'm
pretty sure
not
Matt had a
crazy.
theory about Poppy.
She is literally like
Wait.
the definition of an internet conspiracy right now.
Is she like that doll?
Yeah.
She acts
She's
like
like a
one.
fake
She acts like a
person.
robot.
But it's all an act.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a performance piece essentially,
Yeah.
commenting
And she-
on mainstream media
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
But it's looking back and looking
Her
at the project
entire
as a
existence
whole
is
that
a
really
metaphor.
messes with you. Because she's not the first one that her directors worked with. There are other people that he just deleted out of existence
Mhm.
that no one hears from anymore,
Am I
which is
allowed
weird.
to play a snippet of Poppy? Or no?
No,
It
copy-
makes
copyright.
I know,
comments.
it was worth a shot.
It's-
Google,
yeah.
go on
Bradley?
YouTube yourself.
I can't seem to think of the name, but it was one of those anime films that we watched. What's the 3-act one?
Oh, 5 centimeters per second.
Yeah, that was really good. For some reason, I can't stop thinking. I'm gonna rewatch it tonight.
What's
was
that?
a really good one.
5 centimeters per second.
It's a 3-act story, but it's told. It starts out with like these boy and a girl meeting and like kind of falling in love, and then it skips to the next, and it's then older, and they're kind of like doing their own thing. It's kind of like trying to come back to a love that you could.
Lost.
I don't know. Yeah,
Grown
basically just like wanting to come back, and it's just oh.
Hmm.
I didn't think you liked
was
it
really
that
good.
much.
Yeah, it was really good.
And for me, it's the TV show Black Mirror, which the new season is actually coming out pretty soon. I think at the start of 2018 here. And I've just been watching that season 3, which every episode is just fantastic. The most recent one that I watched, it's like these 2 women that get together in a bar, and it's like 1987. But then the one girl tries to meet up with her the next week at the same spot, and she like can't find her, and the bartender says go check out this other spot, and so she goes, and there's just like it's like full of bikers and weirdos, and she can't find the girl she's looking for, but she finds a guy that girl was with, and he tells her go look in like the 90s and go look in 2002. And I was watching, I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like, is this some sort of time travel thing? No, it turns out the twist is that they are all, they're like old people, and they're like in basically like the Oasis, like their minds are in this place, and that's why they're able to go to all these different eras.
Okay.
And so, but when you die, you can have your consciousness transferred into this machine basically and live forever in this place. And it's like the one girl that, like not the main one, but the one that she was trying to find, it turns out that she used to have a husband and a kid that, like her kid died when she was young, and like basically she doesn't want to get uploaded into this machine because she's like, my kid didn't get a chance to, so why should I get to, kind of thing. And it was just really interesting, and like the way that they do it where you don't know what's really going on pretty much, and it always has like some sort of twist at the end of the show. It's like Twilight Zone kind of
The
thing.
virtual afterlife.
Really just like a collection of short films.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like an adult
They're
version
not-
of Freaky Stories.
Because
Yeah.
they're not connected in any
No,
way.
it's completely
It's an
separate.
anthology.
Oh,
Oh,
it's just a
series.
Is
collection
that
of
the one where they make the prime minister have sex with a pig?
If so, I haven't gotten there yet. But.
See,
I
I zoned out in these sort of
Uh,
conversations. You
my-
get genuinely concerned.
My roommate was talking about a movie where it was like each episode's a mini.
Oh, it's a TV show.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I am so sorry.
No worries.
Don't know what she was watching.
It sounded very interesting. It was like each episode is a.
Is it called XX?
I don't remember the title, but it was just like every episode is a whole new story.
Is it a horror anthology?
No, she said it had a very creepy vibe to it, kind of like the Twilight Zone, where it was just like the Twilight Zone.
There
Well,
are some
that's
shows-
Black Mirror. It
There's
could be
more than
Black
just
Mirror.
one
Yeah.
It very well
show.
could be, yeah.
I think I'm. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, very well could be. Well, that's it for this episode. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the podcast. And I would like to thank everybody at the table for being a part of this. So thanks, guys.
Golf clap. Golf clap.
Thank you for having us on the show.
Thanks a lot.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
So until next week, thanks, and
Yeah.
never stop watching guilty pleasure movies. Woo! Peace.
Good job.
Good job.
Only the cinema will survive.
When they discuss all the latest movies, or when something big happens in the news, see, that's us. What are we talking